Hey everybody, we're going to go over virtual wholesaling REOs and let's get rid of this here. We don't need that. Here we go. All right. So in this video, we're going to go over how to virtually wholesale bank REOs all over the country. And we're going to talk about how it allows you to live a virtual wholesaling lifestyle. And what is the virtual wholesaling lifestyle? Well, for me, it gave me the freedom to coach travel baseball, Legion baseball for 11 years for three of my boys, take 3 to 5 vacations per year, sell properties anywhere in the US, including on the beach and at Disney World while I was there with my family. Closed on one, both sent a wire and received the wire while at Disney World as well. It's allowed me to forge many strong friendships with partners and other investors throughout the country and people in mastermind groups that I belong to. And it allowed me to make more money in one deal than my annual salary was when I was in the corporate world. A little bit on me and how I got started. So I started investing back at the very end of 2001, 2002. I bought my first fix and flip property with a partner. It was a HUD property. We picked it up super cheap at $29,500. We both did the repairs on it. We put in about $4,000 worth of work and sweat labor equity and sold it for $69,000 and came out with a little over $30,000 net profits. We each netted 15. And this made me interested in buying and doing more, especially on my own. So I bought several more properties that year and fixed and flipped a bunch of properties while I was still working my full-time job. My full-time job at that point was I was a commercial loan underwriter for a year. Then I became a business development officer for a small community bank. Then went from that small community bank, Univest, to Citizens Bank, a larger regional bank, and saved up 18 months worth of bill paying ability and quit my job. So I worked from Citizens Bank from 2001 to 2004, quit at the end of the year 2004, and did real estate full-time, and I've been doing it full-time ever since. So I continued fixing and flipping properties from that point forward with an occasional wholesale deal mixed in. And what I'm going to teach you here is going to show you how you can add inventory without having to do direct mail marketing, right? So everything we do here is without direct mail marketing. And that means you don't have to worry about spending any marketing dollars, but what you do have to spend is your time. And your time, of course, is your most valuable asset. And your time is to look at these properties, analyze them, assess the value, the as-is value, the after repair value, and what repairs it needs. And we're going to teach you how to do this, who to contact, how to get this information, and then how to resell these properties. And do you sell it to an investor or do you sell it to a home buyer? And a lot of it is dependent upon that particular property. But in this example here, what we're talking about is you don't have to go through the properties yourself physically, right? You're going to have somebody else do it. So you're doing it virtually. And you can do it virtually through FaceTime, through that agent or whoever you hire to go through that property, where you just have them send photos and go through and take videos, which we do, and then have them email to us or send it to us on our phone. And you get great information from those. And what it allows you to do is enter the new market without hiring a team. You don't have to have a team. You will essentially earn a team of agents, of realtors, of contractors. And you can occasionally find some bird dogs, and you can use existing wholesalers in those markets. You can find rehabbers in those markets who you're going to send to, and you can do it all from the comfort of your own home. So does learning about new markets throughout the country intrigue you? And what's limiting you? Do you have mental blocks that you set up within yourselves? Fear of the unknown? What could go wrong with the property? The constant what ifs we put up as blockers. Well, what if it doesn't work out? Well, what if it does? And then there's overanalyzing deals and talking yourself out of it, analysis paralysis. We have a lot. That's probably the biggest hurdle our students have to overcome is analysis paralysis. You must learn to trust the numbers and stay disciplined in any market, whether it's moving up or down. You're going to use similar numbers. So I'm going to go back to my peak year in 2017 when I flipped 131 deals and had 75 deals in 2015, 15 owner finance deals, 68 deals in 2016. I've spent zero marketing dollars since 2013 until this past year when I moved to Florida and I decided to do direct to seller through television advertising. That's a whole different avenue, and I don't run or operate that business. I am just the CEO of that one. You're going to learn how to find an acquisitions person to replace yourself if you want to over time. That's if you want to do it as a full-time gig and build out a team like I did. I did find someone who replaced me this past year. Added my wife as a bookkeeper. And then I found a sweet spot for the number of deals which worked for me. This isn't for everybody, but it works for me. Somewhere between 50 and 80 deals per year works really well for me. So in order to find deals and what you're looking for, what I do is I try to look for mistakes by listing agents and asset managers. Like occasionally they'll list a property that's a condo as a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 750 square feet, when in fact it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet. I had that happen at a property in Tamarack, Florida years ago. And you're looking for that type of thing where something's listed as a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, but in reality, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath or 4-bedroom, 2-bath. So you want to take advantage of mistakes because that will, it reduces your competition, right? If you're only, a lot of investors don't want 2 bedrooms. So if something's listed as a 2 and it's actually in fact a 3 or 4, that changes the whole criteria for that property and the value of that property. So you want to take advantage of that, any mistakes made by asset managers or listing agents. And you want to take advantage of properties that have been on and off the market because of minor title defects. And you're going to learn how to move into a new market and feel comfortable making offers in a city that you never even visited. You can sell your homes on eBay. I've done it, and I haven't tried to do this in years because I just haven't had the need to. But I used to do a lot of buying and selling on eBay. You still can sell properties on eBay, but I found that the MLS lately in this market has been far better. And Facebook Marketplace has been far better. But in this example, I purchased a property in Jacksonville, Florida 7 years ago for $5,500, sold it with owner financing for $19,900, got $5,000 down from the buyer, financed that $14,900 over 3 years, received $468 a month for 36 payments, which is a total of $16,848 plus the $5,000 down. So my total number was $21,848 minus the $5,500 that I paid for it. So my net profit was $16,348, a 297% return on investment, almost tripled my money. 3-year period. So what are the sources that we use? What are our resources? So HUD Home Store has been the longest one that I've used. It's been around for a very long time, and they are trying to get away from it, but it's still around at this point, HUDHomestore.com. You must find a licensed agent who's registered on HUD who can put bids for you online. Or if you're an agent, talk to your broker about getting registered and getting your broker registered so that you can bid yourself. Other sources are auction.com, hubzoo.com, Zome.com, WilliamsandWilliams.com, HudsonandMarshall.com, HomePath, which is Fannie Mae, Home Steps, which is Freddie Mac, and then there's other smaller one called RealtyBid, and then one you occasionally find some deals on called BidForAssets.com, but there's also silver, gold, collectibles, lots of other things on that platform. How do we do our comps? You don't really need to do a paid service for comps. You can if you want to feel comfortable, but really the best resource we use is Zillow. Besides Realtor Comps, Zillow is our best resource. Trulia will give you some good numbers. Redfin, Realtor.com will give you a valuation. Realty Track can give you a good idea. That is a paid subscription. It's, I think, around $350 a year. If you go through us, it's, I believe, $199 per year. Movoto.com, Stately, they'll give you some good valuations as well. So how to enter a new market. And with this, you need to trust the process that you do here. Fear is what holds most investors back from moving into new markets, because fear is going to steer you away from opportunities, because going into new markets is hard. Fear of failure must be managed, and you must trust your due diligence to guide you. Wholesalers and realtors are definitely my number one resources for learning new markets. I depend on wholesalers for which zip codes are good that buyers are active in, and realtors for comps. They will tell you what zip codes to stay away from and what zip codes to focus on, the wholesalers will. And some realtors will also be able to tell you those same items. So offer them a share of the wholesale fee if you want to do a joint venture with the wholesalers while you're learning a new market. Look at that as your marketing cost. You're learning a new market. You're going to learn a little bit with them. They're going to make a little profit on you. And then from then on, you can go on your own, or you could just choose to feed them deals and you come up with some kind of split that makes sense for you. So rehabbers are our next best resource. And they are our biggest buyers, rehabbers and buy and hold people. But the rehabbers will tell you what the best zip codes are to be in for fix and flip properties. But rehabbers tend to look in certain areas. So they may not be as knowledgeable about the entire market as a wholesaler would be. Buy and hold investors will also let you know the good and bad zip codes. How to enter a new market. So entering a new market definitely is scary. And it'll stop people. It'll freeze people. It'll force inaction because they feel like they have to learn everything about the new market. Really, you don't. Big cities can be tough because you can have price variances from block to block. And this is why you need to have people, realtors, wholesalers, guiding you along the way for these major metropolitan areas, whether it's Baltimore, St. Louis, Philadelphia, or other similar cities. You need that resource to help guide you at first. You might want to join a real estate investment group, what's called a RIA in that particular area. You might want to do meetup groups online in that area where you don't have to travel. You don't have to go to those RIA groups, right? You can just do a meetup group that's online. But the information and relationships that you'll get from that, especially with the realtors, is really going to help you. And a lot of times these realtors, these markets will be able to give you what's called pocket listings, where they have good deals that you can lock up and then hopefully wholesale to somebody else, or purchase it and then list it on the MLS yourself and make a few bucks extra. Maybe do minor work if you want to. So this is your best resource. So since I moved to Southwest Florida, I've done that, joined RIA groups, Facebook marketplace groups, and I've really learned to market inside and out down in Southwest Florida, from Sarasota down through Naples. So the key, and where you're going to hear this repeatedly over and over during this, is you want to find a realtor that understands the market and is willing to work with investors. And they're always going to push to get maximum 6% commission, but you want them to work with you initially in the beginning, offer them 5%. And as you do multiple properties, dwindle it down to 4%, or you might get to the point where you don't feel like you need them to list your properties, where you could just do a flat fee listing. Flat fee listing, you'll generally pay about $500, and then you offer the buyer's agent, offer them that full 3%, really incentivize them to show your property. Because a lot of them are only offering 2.25%, 2.5%, depending on what market you're in. Or you can even go higher. You can go 3.5% to really incentivize if you got a tougher property to move. But definitely these are your best resources, realtors. And if you want to go and do it your own, flat fee MLS, you're just going to have more work to do on your own, because you're going to have to negotiate on your own. And if you're not a great negotiator, it pays to get a good realtor who will help do that negotiation for you. So how to prepare for an auction event. And this is definitely far and away the most important part of our program. This is where the money is made. You make money when you buy, right? Not when you sell. Selling is just where you collect the funds from your due diligence and making the right reads on a property and maximizing the profits. So the key to find out what your maximum allowable offer is determining your after repair value. And what I like to do, just to play it on the safe side, especially if it's a brand new market I'm in, my after repair value, if I see 3 comps, one for 150, one for 175, one for 160, I'm going to go off low comp, 150. I'm going to use that as the bar. Then I will do 65% of that If it's a real hot market, you might need to go to 70 or 75. I don't like 75 in this market that we're heading into because it's going to be relatively flat, maybe up a little bit, maybe down a little bit. I'd prefer to err on the side of caution, go for the bigger profits. Another way to do it, if you want to stick with your 70 or 75% formula, is just when you're looking at your repairs, go higher in repair numbers, or just go with a higher wholesale fee to give yourself a little bit of margin. Because what you're going to do in this instance, 100,000 times 65% is 65,000 minus repairs, 15,000 brings you to 50,000. Then if you want your wholesale fee to be 10, maximum allowed number, you can go to 40. I would push to 15, give myself a little bit of leeway, and that gets me down to 35,000 as my maximum allowable offer. So you have to have the correct ARV, or your maximum allowable offer. Your MAO is not going to work, right? It could be too high or too low, and you'll never be winning any bids. If it's too low, if it's too high, you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to have a higher risk of losing money. And that's what you want to avoid. But trust this process. Get good at it. It's the most important thing to be good at. Continue to just practice on properties. You can even practice and follow properties that sold, see what they sold after repair, after the contractor or home flipper, flip the property, see what it sold for, and see if your numbers were accurate. So the best way to determine your after repair value is from a realtor, obviously with realtor comps. And also you can use Zillow, Redfin, Trulia, and others to come up with that number as well. Now we're going to go over 3 different types of cities. You got tier 1 cities, tier 2 cities, and tier 3 cities. What is a tier 1 city? Well, it's developed an established city with established businesses, schools, and it's difficult to cash flow rentals in these markets. Prices tend to be too high, but it's a great flip market. So you got, for example, Phoenix, Dallas, Houston, Miami, San Jose, Austin, San Francisco, Baltimore, Denver, and San Diego are great flip markets. Harder to find cash flow rentals in those markets. Tier 2 cities where you can find a nice mix. And these are in a process of developing, up and coming companies going there, more inexpensive real estate. Examples are Philadelphia, St. Louis, Charlotte, Tampa, Nashville, Orlando, Las Vegas, and Kansas City. And you'll find good cash flow rentals in a lot of those markets. Tier 3 cities, even the best. My favorite to invest in. Underdeveloped and non-existent real estate markets. They're kind of pockets of real estate markets with cheap growth opportunities, great cash flow properties. Tucson, Arizona doesn't really fit into that. That's really more of a tier 2 at this point. But at the time I created this, it was more of a tier 3. Memphis, Arizona, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, Greenville, Akron, Raleigh, and Toledo. I would say Akron, Raleigh, and Toledo really fit this market, or tertiary markets where they're even further outside with less development and more cash flow and more potential profits and flips. What are the best cash flow markets? So, example, you're going to have some really good ones in St. Louis, Philadelphia, Kansas City, Baltimore, Memphis, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Florida, Detroit, Cleveland, Indianapolis, Raleigh, North Carolina, and Greenville, South Carolina. Raleigh's starting to develop a little more and starting to move up. Same with Greenville. They were sliding potentially off this market or off the cash flow markets because they became kind of overbought. I don't want to say overbought, but one of your Raleigh, North Carolina became a real tech hub, and Greenville secondarily. So they kind of got priced up a bit more. So you want to target problem properties. And what do I mean by problem properties? Referring to properties that were either pending multiple times and fallen out because of various reasons. So these properties can be gotten at deep discounts because really the asset managers are incentivized to get rid of them. They want to get them off their books. Days in the market are too high being 120 plus days in a market. So there's a high motivation by asset managers to move these problem properties. Other ones have title issues. Many times title issues are kind of major or minor, but they're enough to scare people off. Your average homeowner for sure. Savvy investors, they'll understand they can get this fixed with the right real closing attorney or the right title company. So a lot of times these title issues can be cleared up if you have the patience to wait it out, and you can get a deep discount. Case in point, I purchased a property in North Carolina for $21,500 that was under contract with an end buyer for $50,000 a couple of times before the title issue scared him off. It's 50% discount. So I picked it up and sold it for over 80K on this property. So it was an easy deal. So steps for bidding. So you're going to select properties in your target areas. So are you focusing on one market first, two or three? It doesn't matter. It's best as a newer investor to focus on one that you're comfortable with, and then maybe a secondary one that you're interested in getting into. And now we can kind of do side by side and see how good you get with comping on that new market compared to the current market you're in. You need to do your due diligence. In the new market, you're going to need to find realtors to help you guide you with this, maybe a wholesaler they find on Craigslist or on Facebook Marketplace, because you're going to have them really be your boots on the ground in these developing new markets that you're looking to go into. So that's the first thing you're going to do is contact the listing agent or an agent in that particular market. Recommend an agent in a small mom and pop brokerage that's been in that market for a very long time. And you're going to ask that agent, if there is a listing agent, you'll ask them if there's a BPO, a broker's price opinion of the property. And that's going to be a usually very accurate evaluation of the as-is value of that property. So that's usually what you can sell to another wholesaler for. You want to get it below that. So if the BPO is coming at 35, you want to pick this thing up at 20 to 25. So you have some margin there. So this agent, if they're giving you good information, you're going to ask them if they'd be interested in relisting the property. You ask them what the 30-day sale price is and the quick sale price, the 15-day quick sale price. Ask the agent if it's a rental market or a flip market. What type is it? And a lot of them know other investors that they could just give a call to, send them out to the property and see if they're interested in buying. A lot of times you don't even have to list these properties. So you want to ask the agent, one of the most important questions is find out what the after repair value is and what repairs are needed. So that's going to give you your maximum allowable offer, what you need to do. For example, if it's 100,000, using that 65,000 needs repairs of 20,000, you're down to 45,000 minus your wholesale fee. So you're going to have to pick it up. If you want 10K, you have to pick it up for 35,000. But remember, you got closing costs. Really, in essence, you need to pick this up for 30,000 so you can cover your closing costs and still make your 10K. Otherwise, you're going to be making about 7K on that, which is still fine, but you prefer to make more. So if you are a licensed realtor in that area, which I am in Pennsylvania, I still try to get that lockbox code so I can send different contractors through and get price quotes on the fix up needed on the property. And if the agent does want to give me that info, if you're licensed in that state, they're going to give you the lockbox info, so you don't have to worry about that. But if the agent, it's a lot of times these REO agents are far from the property, so them going back and forth isn't feasible. So if you can send a contractor, somebody they refer potentially, take a look at the property, you're going to get some pretty accurate estimates on it. So after you do your due diligence, you're ready to submit the offer to the bank or the online auction, depending on what it is. Submitting the offer, if it's a HUD property, you're going to be doing that online through your realtor. If it's an auction, you're going to wait till that auction comes to cycle here, and you're going to be waiting for the time period that it's going to be to bid. It could start on a Saturday and go through on Monday or Tuesday. You're going to bid during that time. Don't necessarily put in your maximum allowable offer in the beginning. Try to get it lower. Always try to get it lower than your maximum allowable offer. It just increases your profits. And a lot of times it may take 5, 10, maybe more auction cycles for you to actually get a property, because the price needs to dip down to where it makes sense for you as an investor to pick it up. So once your offer is accepted, you're going to need to start marketing the property right away if you want to do what's called a back-to-back closing or a simultaneous close. What a back-to-back closing is, let's say you're picking up a property in St. Louis for $100,000 and you have an end buyer at $120,000. So you're going to be picking up and purchasing it. You're going to have to come up with the funds to purchase it for $100,000. And then the same day, your buyer is going to come in for $120,000 and you're going to collect the profit minus closing costs on both, probably net roughly around $15,000 on an example like that, maybe a little bit more, $15,000 to $17,000. Best way for you to market is go on Zillow.com, start marketing there. Facebook Marketplace has now really become number two, depending on what market you're in, and Craigslist. You want to utilize as many as possible. And there are different investor groups in this Facebook marketplace. So if you're in Dayton, Ohio, there may be 2 or 3 investor groups. You want to try to get in all of them and advertise that property in all of those groups. All right, so you win the high bid at the auction. Now what? Now's the time you really need to strap on the boots and do some serious due diligence on a property. You have a couple of days before you have to send in the EMD, usually, depending on the auction site. So contact the listing agent if you haven't already done so, and you should have done so already before this point. But if you haven't, if you're a procrastinator, contact them now, find out about the issues with the property, what it needs, if your number makes sense. They'll tell you if your number's too high, or they'll say, yeah, you can make money with this. This is a good deal. Move forward. But you can also find out if there are any structural issues, if there's septic issues, well issues, anything goofy going on with the property. So if you don't have a buyer's list in the area, maybe you want to send out postcards, so a cash buyer list. You can pull a cash buyer's list and mail out postcards are like 15 or 20 cents. You can do them really, really inexpensively and potentially pick up buyers that way. As I said before, you can market on Craigslist and Zillow and Facebook Marketplace. Contact your local RIAs. You can usually do that online and sometimes advertise the property online there. Contact whoever's in charge of that RIA group. Let them know of your deal. They may be interested, or they may know of somebody else that's interested in that property. So market to other wholesalers and offer to do a joint venture. If it's something you're uncomfortable with and don't know if you can move it yourself, better to move it and get half of it, of the profits, than none. So as I've said, and I'm going to keep saying this over and over again, best way to market your property is going to be Zillow, Craigslist, and Facebook Marketplace. You're also going to want to pull cash buyers lists, send the postcards, like I said, contact the wholesalers and have them help you market the property. If by chance you're doing got a pocket listing or direct to seller, you can list it on the MLS, and you just need certain different paperwork to be able to do that, to be able to allow it to marketing. Your agreement of sale has to allow you to market the property. And you cannot do this in all markets, but you can do this in many markets. All right, step 4, go through Craigslist for real estate wanted ads and call any wholesalers that you see. Contact them. Join the local RIA group if you can. A lot of them have online meetings and they have small subgroups there, and you want to try to get involved in as many of them as possible. So your best sources for cash buyers. If you're in that market, go to those meetings physically. If you can't, maybe you can find somebody to go for you, whether it's the other wholesaler or whether it's an agent. Incentivize them one way or another. After you secure a buyer, you're going to create a letter of intent for them to fill out and then ask for proof of funds. And if they don't have proof of cash funds, if they are using hard money, just make sure you get a letter from the hard money lender saying that they are pre-qualified. So what happens if I can't find a buyer? I have to close on a property and I don't have the cash? Well, you can always team up with another investor that has cash and is short on deals. If your deal is a deal, someone will loan the money or JV with you on the deal. So it's better than just walking away from the property. And again, splitting a deal is better. Half of something's better than all of nothing. So the worst case scenario is you walk away from the property if the other realtors or if the other investors are saying this is not a good deal. You're walking away from it and you could lose your security deposit. Just chalk it up to a marketing expense and a learning lesson and try not to repeat that. It took me a while before I finally started doing this, when I walked away from some security deposits, because sometimes it's better to walk away from a little bit than a lot. So learn from my lessons. You don't want to make it a habit of not closing on deals, though, because asset managers and the auction companies will blackball you. I do know an investor had 7 properties under contract with the auction company, one particular auction company. He didn't close on 6 of them, only closed on 1 of them. He was blackballed permanently. They will not let him bid again. Now, I'll talk a little bit about the power of owner financing, which is another way to sell a property. Again, if you have money, the funds to close, depending on the term that you have, how long you have it for, you can sell it with owner financing on installment contract sale. So, for example, on this property here, purchased it for $57,000. I sold it to an end buyer on installment contract for $79,900 with $12,500 down, and they paid $1,279 per month principal and interest payments. They did renovations on the home. They turn around and end up selling the property and paying me off about a year and a half after the sale. But if it would have kept it the whole time, your net profit would have been $45,287.67 over an 8-year period, because it was termed. It had a 8-year arm on it, so it was fixed term. Other owner finance deals I've done here, for example, I purchased one in Arnold, PA, sold it for $16,500 with $10,000 down. Yeah, that's right. Picked it up for $5,500, got $10,000 down, and a note for $500 for 13 months. So pure profit from jump on this one. Connie Lake, another example of that. Purchased it for $9,500, sold it for $30,000 with $10,000 down, so whole up front, and then collected 60 payments of $424.94 per month. Total profit, $25,996.40 plus. This is kind of the gift that keeps on giving. It's a cash flow play. You get some money up front, or you're just going to get some money longer term if it doesn't get paid all the way up front. Another one, Youngstown, Ohio, that picked up for $57.50, sold for $30,000 with $8,000 down. Another one I was whole right up front, and then 60 payments of $467.06. Now, this buyer ended up going bad, and I only collected about 15 months of payments, got rid of them, brought a new buyer in, did about $8,000, maybe $10,000 worth of repairs, resold it again for $40,000, and this buyer has been paying me $650 a month diligently, and I still have 32 payments left. Aliquippa, PA, purchased for $6,000, sold for $19,900 with $6,000 down, and a note for $336.09 for 48 months. The note was for $13,900 at 7.5%. Shenango Forks, purchased for $15,000, sold for $35,000, got $20,000 down, so we're whole plus up front. 8% note payable over 24 months with a payment of $678.41 per month. Chesterfield, Indiana, picked this one up, still getting paid on this one for $11,500, sold it for $29,000 with $2,000 down, so I was not whole on this one, right? So I still had money out, and $27,000 note financed at 12% with a monthly payment of $600.60 over 60 months. And again, I'm still getting paid on this one. Another one that was sold, this was Lansford, Pennsylvania. Bought it for $10,050, sold for $25,000 with $3,000 down, and $22,000 note at 12% payable over 60 months. So it's $489.38 per month for 60 months. That's the power of owner finance deals. Another way to make great money over a longer term period of time and create cash flow. Here's a property I picked up on auction.com way back in 2013 for $22,500, repainted it, redid everything in here, put new flooring, new carpet in. There was cat odor in here. It smelled horrible. I used oil-based kills, got rid of all the cat odor smell, the new flooring, the new fixtures, new appliances. This place looked great. I wound up using it. I did it as an Airbnb for a while, vacation rental through Flipkey, and did that for a couple of years. We used it a couple of times as a family, and then it was a ski area, and we sold it for $75,000 a year later. Actually, it was 1 year that I did the Airbnb for. So whether you want to do fix and flips or hold rentals in your portfolio, bank REO properties can be the greatest resource for you. I find the inventory pretty steady. It's been consistent for me, and I've been doing this since 2001. Again, I stopped direct mail marketing in 2013. I did pick it up here in Southwest Florida this year just to try to pick up some Airbnbs and some rentals down in this market. So how many people do you need on your team? Really, you can do this all yourself. I did it for many years, did it all myself. But then I got smart and hired VAs. You can hire them for as little as $3 an hour, up to $10, depending on what you want from them. They've been a godsend to our organization, helped us with our students, helped us with evaluating properties and doing day-to-day tasks. You also want a disposition managers because you don't want to necessarily do everything. Although initially, when you're doing this, you want to do everything so you learn everything. So I brought in a rock star disposition manager and I paid him 25% of the net profit spread. You don't have to do that. You pick up somebody for 15%, 10%, 5%, 7.5%, 8%. Depends on what you want to do, but you want a rock star, you got to pay for the rock star. Now, acquisition manager. I was the acquisition manager for 20 plus years. Hired somebody this year. He's a rock star, knocking it out of the park, doing phenomenal. And he gets 15% of the deal. I have another one that's getting 10%, and then a third one that's getting 10% as well. Typical issues you run into with bank-owned properties. Title issues, but rarely. More often than not, you're running into some minor issues. A lot of times it's just delays closings because they have to do a deed correction from the sheriff's sale. So you get some errors like that. Sometimes they'll take up to 6 months, but usually it's another 15 to 30 to 45 days to get them fixed up. The biggest issue you're going to run into is problem realtors. Problem realtors, this is why you got to do your due diligence. It's called trust but verify, Reagan said. Get their numbers, look at them, but use your own numbers against it. If their numbers aren't making sense, you want to cut ties with them and go with another agent who's better. Bad realtors have steered me into bad deals. I have one near Sarasota and Osprey, Florida, that I'm running into with that this year. I'm going to lose money on that one. It's a lesson learned. And this is why you want to have multiple realtors looking at each different property, if possible. Find the best one that was going to work with you. The thing you could run into is deed restrictions. So Fannie Mae has a 90-day deed restriction on it. So if you're an investor, if you pick it up for $100,000, you can't sell it for more than $120,000. It's a 20%. You can't sell it for more than 20% profit from 90 days of the deed is recorded. Ways around this. There are ways around it. We teach you how to get around those issues within that time period still. And a lot of it's just off the HUD. The importance of continuous networking. So we are constantly networking with investors. I belong to 2 mastermind groups. I belong to RIA groups and online RIA groups. And I go to different events that are out there to try to meet as many investors as can. The more investors you meet, the more joint ventures you can do, the more cash buyers you can find, the more private money you can find to fund your deals. So it's definitely hugely worthwhile to always continue networking. I'm also a big fan of education and paying for it. Yeah, if you buy my system, you'll be paying for it. But if you do one deal, you'll have paid for your whole education. Anytime I buy an educational product from somebody else, all I figure is if I do one deal, it's paid for, and then the rest it's gravy. And I learned a new strategy or new way to buy and sell properties. So very worthwhile, and I will continue to buy. Spent so many hundreds of thousands of dollars in property in educational systems. I will continue to do it again. I want to give you an example of a recent deal I did here, and this is one I call a home run. So this is a property in Columbus, Ohio that I picked up for just about $49,940. Had a realtor list it for $85,000. He said he expected a bidding war, and we got it. 6 offers, 2 with escalation clauses, and we ended up selling it for $104,000. The net profit was $41,910.85. That's more than some people's salary in a year. And that's one deal. Think if you got one per quarter, right? That's a lot of money. You're talking about $160,000. Other recent deals that we've done. This one's in Fort Worth, Texas. Purchased it for $182,800. We put around $7,000 into it. We're selling it for $235,000 with a net profit roughly around $24,000. Other one in Seneca, South Carolina, that we purchased for $142,275. We put $12,000 into it, including a new HVAC system, and have it under contract for $200,000 with a $6,500 seller assist. We're going to net around $21,000 on this one. This is a longer term project I did, and I only did this because I'm comfortable with this, and I've done a lot of deals in Wyoming, and I know the issue. So this one is in Gillette, Wyoming, and it had foundation issues. There's different properties I've had in Wyoming with foundation issues because they didn't have the right bedrock down below, the right foundation set up, and you had sinkage and problems. So found a company that can remedy that and will work in Gillette and Casper markets for me. So great boots on the ground there. Anyway, I picked up this property for $76,500, put $75,000 into it, which was about $53,000 in the foundation work. And the rest of it was just finishing the flooring, new appliances, actually appliance credit, new flooring, paint, doing some trim work, putting some new doors in, and just general minor update. And having our contract to sell for $255,000 with a net profit of $62,000. This one took me a year, and really in large part because of the foundation work. It's going to take much longer than a regular one. Another one we did, this was a quick hitter in Odessa, Texas. We bought it for $138,600, $4,000 renovations, sold it for $220,000 with net profit of $53,426.65. Another one we did in Linton, Indiana. You can look these up so you can see the history, and you'll see what we actually bought them for and what we sold them for. So we picked this one up for $75,700, sold it for $130,000. Again, this was a bidding war. We listed at $120s, and we got a bidding war up to $130,000. Our net profit was $40,556.68. So, guys, these are some examples of what you can do and how much money you can make on these properties. And I'm going to stop the share now, if possible. Here we go. These are some of the examples on how much profit you can make on bank-owned properties once you have your systems down and understand exactly what to do, what the due diligence is, what the process is on buying and selling. There's a way to systematize this, rinse and repeat, and pay no marketing fees. Who does want to pay marketing fees, right? For my television advertising, I pay $7,300 a month. That's a lot of money. If this doesn't pan out over the period of time, I'm just going to cut it. I've gotten deals from it. I'll make money. I'll be positive from it, but I don't want to just continuously feed something that net profits are far lower than me buying all over the country on online auctions when I can make far more money with far less effort and far less people needed to do this whole process. Yeah, I will lose out on the assignment of contract, but I can totally live with that. As long as I can raise the money to buy these properties, as long as I have asset-based lenders out there that are willing to lend me 90%, 100%, it's a no-brainer for me to do this. We set you up with lenders. We get you connected, get you some history, so you get preferred lending rates from them, preferred, 90% margin, not 90% margin, 90% LTV purchase with them. So you have put very little money down. And we also show you how you can find secondary mortgage holders, people who are willing to fund the last 10% of your purchase. And these mortgagees, asset-based lenders will allow you to do the first and the second. Somebody behind them will be able to be recorded, and they were okay with that. We also show you how to connect with our national title insurance company. You can buy any state in the country through one person, much easier at a discounted rate. We also connect you with a national insurer. The only state they don't insure is New York City, but we have alternatives so you can help assist you if you want to buy in New York. We personally are out of New York at this point. We have one property we're selling. I have no desire to ever purchase in the state of New York again. It's too difficult. That's just me. Some people really want to and will do that. God bless them. So you have the right boots on the ground, the right people to handle it. Go for it. For me, it's about highest and best use of my time and energy and my money. And I'm going to avoid that like the plague. We have usually 1 to 2 coaching calls per month should you join our program. We have one where we just go over deals. We show examples and a lot of Q&A in that one. Try to teach you guys how to do things the right way. We also talk about what's going on in the market, what we see, how's it shifting, what's going on. Then we also bring in these different preferred lenders to talk and explain their processes. We bring in the title insurance person to talk. And we also bring in the national insurer, and we have a link, and you can purchase homeowners insurance at a discounted rate, flood insurance in different areas as well. So we have a lot of different things on our platform. You can joint venture with other students on your platform. If you're uncomfortable in a certain market, somebody else is, you could joint venture with us on deals, should you be interested in doing that. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this and hopefully got a lot out of it, and look forward to seeing you inside the academy.